Hello and welcome to Rate That Character, the show where a member of the Source Gaming team discusses their opinion on a character's chances for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So even though information on the game has finally dropped, we do know that there are more newcomers to be revealed, and thus the series isn't going anywhere. But do remember that this is not the view of Sakurai, Source Gaming as a whole, or any other member of the community. With that out of the way, my name is NantenJex, and let's see who today's character is. Today's character has seen plenty of wars, and it is Sami from Advance Wars. The Wars series is a popular Nintendo franchise that has yet to get any character in Super Smash Bros., but fans are definitely clamouring for it. In fact, Sami herself was nearly added as a playable character in the Super Smash Bros. Fan mod, Project M. There have been plenty of outcries for a Wars character, and Sami in particular, but does she have what it takes to be one of the few newcomers added into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Well, you see, before discussing Sami, I think it's important that we discuss the Wars series and its relationship to Nintendo. See, Wars is still one of the major Nintendo franchises without a playable character in Super Smash Bros. It was Intelligent Systems' first breakout hit back on the NES, and it predates even Fire Emblem. While it wouldn't be until the Game Boy Advance when it would see worldwide appeal, the Wars series has a place in many gamers' hearts, and Sakurai has acknowledged this popularity via an assist trophy in both Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. Now, what about Sami in particular? Why would I choose her over other characters like Andy? Well, a big part of the Advance Wars series is the fact that you don't actually fight yourself, but the Ko commands all the other units. So a lot of the Kos aren't very combat focused. There are a few, of course, but not all of them are. Sami is one of those exceptions though, as her speciality is infantry combat, and she is basically an on-foot fighter. This makes her the most like any other soldier of any of the other cast, and thus she's perfect for being the one who fights in Smash. She's one of the original trio from the Advance Wars titles that were available worldwide, and thus she's on a lot of gamers' hearts. Also, there is a pretty simple moveset out there for her. If anyone here has played the Contra game, she basically lines up quite well with what they do for her standard attacks. And Sakurai isn't afraid at looking at outside inspiration for some of the characters. After all, Mario is heavily based on Ryu, but obviously using assets from his own game. And Sami could do that as well. After all, there are plenty of units in the Advance Wars series that she could be inspired from, like the actual infantry that she specialises from. However, there are issues with Sami, and the first and most major one is that she isn't Andy. Andy is the original star of Advance Wars 1 and 2, and the first one that players control. Sami may be the second Ko that players recruit, but this makes her more like Ribbon Girl than Springman, for example. And Sakurai more often than not will go for the Springman. And while Sami is an infantry soldier, and that's her speciality, that might also limit her moveset a bit as well. After all, there's a lot to go from Advance Wars, and she can use tanks and artillery, but if it doesn't quite fit in character for her, as it's not her speciality, Sakurai may prefer Andy over her, as he encompasses everything. There's also the issue of more realistic guns. This has kind of been an issue since Brawl, and that's why Snake has a more explosive-based moveset. Many people will point to Bayonetta's pistols as a counter-argument to this, but hers are very stylized, unlike Sami's more realistic machine gun. And then there is the status of the Wars series. While it had many games up until the DS and Wii, it ended up not selling particularly well, and ended up being dropped for the far more popular Fire Emblem. While the developers have expressed interest in going back to the games and trying to bring them back, they need to have a particular hook that will make them as appealing as Fire Emblem does, and they don't feel like the waifu system would work as well in Advance Wars as it does for Fire Emblem. And thus, the series is currently stagnated. Sakurai said he was very limited in which newcomers he could add this time, which requires us to be a lot more critical now with our scores. And because of this, Sami is not quite the front runner when it comes to newcomers to be added. And she can't even really be an echo character of anyone on the existing roster unless they wanted to focus on explosives and make her more like Snake, but that's not quite right for her. While I would love to see any Advance Wars characters, and maybe we will get one, it doesn't seem likely that Sami will be it, but I guess we won't know until December. Thank you for watching today's Rate That Character. If you liked this video, then give us a like and share with your friends. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on today's character and give us a suggestion for a future character you would like us to rate. I want to thank all our patrons, in particular our super patron, the Duke of Dorks. A link to his channel can be found below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date, and always remember to return to the source.